Good morning. Today is Thursday, the 19th day of Teves, and we begin today chapter 12 in Tanya, the chapter that introduces the BEINONI. What is the BEINONI? The intermediate person. And we explained, Alter Rebbe went in the previous chapter, he described basically the structure of our soul. What is it composed of? We have a soul, we have the faculties of the soul, and we have the garments of the soul. And the faculties of the soul, we're talking about the intellectual faculties and the emotional faculties. The garments of the soul is just like a garment that you can put on and take off. These are the thoughts, speech, and action. So we explained, the Alter Rebbe explained that a tzaddik is in full control, not only on the garments of the soul, the thought, speech, and action, but he's also in control on the faculties of the soul, and the emotions, and his intellect. He basically does not want to do anything which is against Hashem, against God's will. That is the tzaddik. And there is different levels in tzaddik v'tovloi. How is tzaddik v'tovloi is one who already completely transformed, that even the animal soul wants to and desires godliness. Those are tzaddikim that are very few in the world. Then you have the tzaddik v'raloi that has still a tiny little bit of bad, but it's not some bad that is active, but it's completely nullified. And there is also many differences in how much it is nullified. That is the tzaddik. Then the Alter Rebbe explained what is the Rasha. And he said that Rasha is a person. There's also there's different levels. There's the Rasha v'raloi, and Rasha v'tovloi, Rasha v'raloi, Rasha that knows good, and a Rasha that knows only bad. And there are many different levels. And again, we said a Rasha, a wicked person, could be a person who is also in doing everything right, but occasionally, once in a while, it could be a very rare thing that the Yetzer Hara takes over, perhaps at least one of his garments, in thoughts or in speech or in action, and right away he does teshuvah. But at the moment when he does that, he's considered a rasha. He's considered wicked. And again, we're not talking about the terminologies of rasha and tzaddik, like for when Hashem judges someone. That Alter Rebbe said in the first chapter that this is, you can find in the books, it says that those who have the majority of good deeds are considered a tzaddik in the judgment. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the very essence of the title tzaddik and the title rasha. A person who is capable of doing something bad is still considered a rasha until is in control, that is not capable of doing it. And this is what the Alter Rebbe introduces now, is the BEINONI, the intermediate. And he's going to explain that the BEINONI is one who is full control of his faculties, of his garments. Thought, speech, and action is in full control. He does not even think, not even for one moment, a negative thought. If it can come up to his mind, but he pushes it away right away, instantly. That is the BEINONI that is in full control. And the question that is normally asked, when you look at a BEINONI, it seems like everything is very, very similar to the tzaddik. So that's BEINONI because if you look at him, he's not capable of doing anything. So what is the difference between the BEINONI and the tzaddik? So we explain, the Alter Rebbe is going to explain, that a tzaddik is in control. He completely transformed even the faculties, was also transformed. That a tzaddik has in his essence completely transformed, and not the BEINONI. But the question that we want to pose today also is a question that is not very often asked, based on what we learned yesterday, that a Rasha, a Rasha that is good to him, could be someone who is very rarely doing something, a very small a transgression is already considered a Rasha. And a BEINONI is one who doesn't do this. But then, when the Rasha changes and he does teshuva, Hashem forgives him. So if Hashem forgives him at that moment, is he considered a BEINONI or not? So in that moment, right now, it could be that person is not doing any sins. And he wouldn't do any sin, but he's still not considered a BEINONI. Why not? So this will explain, as we go along today in the Shir, that the BEINONI really is someone who is at a state of mind, not only that he doesn't sin, but is not capable of sinning. And we'll explain what that means. So let's look inside what the Alter Rebbe says. Says the Alter Rebbe, the BEINONI, the intermediate man, who shelo eino ra goiver kol kach, lichboish esoyer ketano. The intermediate man, the intermediate person, is he whom the evil of the animal soul never attains enough power to conquer the small city. Small city, we explained, is the body. That is the fight going on between the godly soul and the animal soul. Both want to conquer the body. Faculties, the garments of the body. So as to clothe itself in the body and make it sin. BEINONI doesn't allow it. The Hainu, sheshloisha levushe nefesh abahamis, shemachshava dibur u'maisa shemitzad haklipa. That is to say, that the three garments of the animal soul, namely the thought, the speech, and action, originating in the klipa, those three garments that originates in the klipa. The klipa is the shell. As we explained, the shell, the forbidden things comes from the shell. The shell is what conceals the holiness, conceals the godliness. That's called the shell. So the three garments of the animal soul originate from the shell. They do not overpower the godly soul. They do not prevail within him over the divine soul to the extent of clothing themselves in the body, and not even one part of the body. Neither in the brain, so that the brain thinks forbidden thoughts, with the animal soul's garment of thought, nor in the mouth, to speak forbidden words, the garment of speech, and nor in any of the other 248 organs. So to act in a forbidden manner. So they do not do this to cause them to sin and to defile them, God forbid. Sin means to actual sin. And what does it mean to defile? We explained earlier in the Tanya that when a person does a positive thing, but with the wrong intentions, he defiles the soul and the body temporarily. So, but the BEINONI, it doesn't happen. It does not, the animal soul does not have the control. Only the three garments of the divine soul, they alone manifest themselves in the body. These things, this being the thought, speech, and action related to the 613 commandments of the Torah. Now the Alter Rebbe makes a statement that needs clarification, and we'll soon get there. It says as follows: "V'lo ovar aveira miyamav, v'lo yaver le'olam." The BEINONI has never committed any transgression, nor will he ever transgress. V'lo nikra alav shem rasha, afilu shah achas v'rega echad kol yamav. The name Rasha has never been applied to him, however temporarily, nor even for a moment. Not even for a moment throughout his life. So the questions over here is obvious. Two questions. Number one, he's saying that the BEINONI has never committed a sin. Does that mean that anybody that ever committed a sin cannot reach that level? So we're all doomed. I don't know about you. You guys are tzaddikim. I'm talking about myself. So what does it mean that he never committed a sin? And question number two, he says, never will he. Do we know the future? It says, do not believe in yourself until the day you die. The greatest people in history have committed sins. So what does it mean? The Rebbe asks this question. The Rebbe says that we're talking about the state of mind of the BEINONI right now. That right now is in a state of mind that it's for him impossible to do a sin. That means if a person gets himself to this level, that he regrets completely what he did. Take, for example, a person who did not know anything about his Jewish background, grown up without any Jewish education, doesn't know what Shabbos is, doesn't know what Rosh Hashanah is, doesn't even know what Yom Kippur is. And then one day, Lubavitcher meets him in Sheepshead Bay. Are you Jewish? Yeah, come, invites him to the Chabad house, and comes and he learns. He starts learning and he discovers the whole world. And he learns about Shabbos and learns about Rosh Hashanah, learns about Yom Kippur. And now he's in a level he understands. He understands what Yom Kippur is. And for him, now comes Yom Kippur. If you'll ask him on Yom Kippur after, let's say, 2 years, 3 years that he was already involved and he learned and knows everything, and you're going to ask him on Yom Kippur, do you think you will ever eat on Yom Kippur? It's not even a question. Doesn't even enter his mind now. Yom Kippur to eat? God forbid. That's not even a possibility. So a BEINONI is in such a level. By him, every sin is Yom Kippur. He gets to the point that he understands that he wants to be one with Hashem. And he realizes that any minor transgression disconnects him from Hashem. He doesn't want that. So in his state of mind right now, so he didn't do a sin in the past. He never did, because whatever he did already, he's transformed. He's a different person. And in the way he is now, no matter what circumstances it will be, he will never do this. And that is the difference between the BEINONI and the Rasha v'Tovlei. So the Rasha v'Tovlei, we said yesterday that even a person who his entire life is doing only good, but once in a while, once a year, will they have a bad thought, a lashon hara, a small lashon hara. That's it. He's a Rasha. And if he repents right away and he says, okay, I'm good, I'm not going to do it anymore. But it's still in the category, he's not in the category of BEINONI yet. Why? What's the difference? The difference is because that person, for him, if you're going to ask him right now, do you think in the future, is it possible that you will say, have a bad thought? You say, yes, it's possible. I know I'm human, I don't know. I have my Yetzirah. I can have a bad thought. I can do some, God forbid, a bad deed also. It's not completely out of the question. And that is why he's not in the category of BEINONI yet. He's in the category of Rasha v'Tovlo. He's almost there to the category of BEINONI. But he's not there yet. The BEINONI is when the person is, for him to do something is completely out of the question. Every tiny little bit, every tiny aveira, the BEINONI is like eating on Yom Kippur. That is the BEINONI. That is why the intermediate person is not so average. But in the same time, the Alter Rebbe is going to tell us, this is the main character of this book. The book of Tanya is called Sefer Shel BEINONIM, the book of the BEINONI. And this book of in this book, the Alter Rebbe not only introduces us to the BEINONI, but he is going to explain that really that is what a person should strive to achieve, because this is what we can achieve. And tomorrow we're going to learn the difference between the BEINONI and the tzaddik. This is the end of today's shir, short shir. And any questions? We can take now any questions.